At Rubber Band, we empower each other through positivity, kindness, and practical advice. Join a community of thousands of peers who understand the unique challenges you face. Rubber Band. Company agnostic, low ego, high empathy, always supportive. Are you a founder, a HR solo operator, or the leader of a HR team? Do you feel like you're constantly drowning in back office tasks? HR, payroll, onboarding, IT, it never seems to end, right? Well, it's time to simplify. With Rippling, imagine managing everything for your local and global workforce in one single platform. That's right. HR, payroll, onboarding, even IT, all seamlessly integrated. No more juggling multiple vendors or dealing with frustrating tech issues. Rippling does it all effortlessly. Free yourself from the admin grind and give your employees an experience that they will love. And here's the best part. For our Rubber Band listeners, Rippling is offering an exclusive deal. Get your first 3 months for free. Yes, you heard that right. Just visit rippling.com/en-au/rubberband to claim your offer. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to streamline your entire operation with Rippling. Rippling, one platform, every workforce needs it. Welcome, listeners, and welcome, viewers, to today's episode of the Rubber Band podcast and podcast, where I am lucky to be joined by Maaike van Dijk from Rippling. Now, before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land that I live and work on, the Wadawurrung and Dja Dja Wurrung people. I recognise their continuing connection to the land and waterways. I pay my respects to their elders past, present and emerging, and I would like to extend this to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people. I am so excited to be talking Rippling with my friend, Maaike. How are you?
I'm good, Eden. Thank you so much. How are you?
I'm good. And we've recorded things in the past. I feel like we're becoming experts at this. This is great. Like I'm really excited to see a demo of Rippling today because I'm hearing so much great, I guess, buzz around Rippling, right? And Rippling particularly, launching in the Australian market and clients that are picking it up and hearing some of those success stories. It's I feel really privileged that you're joining me today. So thank you.
Well, thanks for inviting me. It's very excited to be here, and definitely keen to share more about Rippling and what we do here in Australia.
Absolutely. Now, I said that I've known you a long time. I'm conscious that our audience maybe haven't met you yet. So why don't you tell us a little bit about your career, a little bit about you before we talk about Rippling?
Perfect. No problem. So good morning, afternoon, evening, everyone. My name is Maaike. As I said, very excited to be here. And Eden and I have crossed paths in my last job when I was working at LiveHire and ATS. And my background really is in recruitment, originally from the Netherlands, where I started my career with Randstad as an agency recruiter. And I had the opportunity to come to Australia, move my job here, and eventually move to Singapore with them as well. And over the course of 10 years working in internal recruitment with them, agency recruitment, I eventually ventured into HR technology. It was kind of that era, that time, 2014, 15, 16, when HR tech really picked up and a lot of things were digitalized. So, think about your reference checks, Checkster. I rolled that out across the APAC region. Online DocuSign, documents to be signed by candidates that came into the office to meet with our recruiters. Lots of exciting projects to that. And eventually it led me to LiveHire, where I led the solutions consultant job. And now last year when Rippling opened the office in Australia, I joined them here as their first solutions consultant.
Amazing, Maaike. And I'm a big fan of LiveHire, obviously, and I'm excited to continue your career now with Rippling. But tell me about your role. Tell me a little bit more detail about what you're doing with Rippling.
Yeah, definitely. So As a senior solutions consultant, I work very closely with the sales team. All of us are based here in Australia. We've got an office in Sydney, so I join them often on meetings, sometimes the initial meeting where really we start to drill down on some of the challenges HR team, IT teams, payroll teams may have with their current processes, the current technologies, and then trying to bring the platform Rippling to life to what it could look like for them if they switch over to Rippling, what some process changes may be like, but also really answer any technical questions, because of course, switching systems is not an easy and light decision to be made. So I'm there really to consult them throughout the process, bring in some other experts as need be. And I think as we're still relatively new here in Australia, quite small team or big, depending on how you look at it. But it means I also get exposure to a lot of other things. And one of the things I really enjoy doing is that I work very closely with our product teams based in the US, based in India. And it's really about, what does Rippling need in Australia? What do our Australian clients ask for? Because I'm sure all of you know that Australia is unique, and so is the US, and so is the Netherlands or anywhere. So there's going to be little nuances to the product to make sure it's fit for purpose for here. So being able to, I guess, manage that process, capture client feedback, and then translating that to the business, what we need to build or how we need to tweak the platform. I love it, being that Australian voice, so to speak.
I love that as well, because I think that's the challenge and the fear of, a lot of talent professionals have, where they may worry there isn't someone local on ground that is going to look at, product enhancements or innovations, or making sure that, the HR tech is going to be fit for Australia. Because you're right, we are really unique, but so is every region. So I love that about Rippling, and I love that it's you, Maaike, obviously, because I've known you a long time and have that trust there. But for anyone out there, like, what is Rippling? So anyone out there that maybe hasn't heard of it, or, hasn't seen a demo until today, what do you do? What does Rippling do? What platform is it?
It's what do we not do, right? We touch everything to do with the employee life cycle. And if we start high level, we are an American US founders company. Our HQ is in San Francisco, just over a decade old. We've got about 3,500 employees now, or colleagues across the world, 4 offices, and about 18,000 customers globally. As I said before, quite new to Australia. We opened up our office in Sydney just a year ago, and we've gone from, me being one of the first employees in the office to about 50 now, and we're hiring another 20 to start this year.
Wow, that's rapid growth in APAC. That's awesome.
Yeah, it's super exciting to be part of, and it obviously shows that there is a fit in the market for us here at Rippling, and what Australia needs as well.
Wow, and that shows the commitment to the region as well.
100%.
Like when you say 50 people and continuing to grow, what is the makeup? What kind of roles are they doing with Rippling?
Yeah. So in Australia, it's really that go-to-market teams. If you think about sales that I mentioned, myself and the solutions team, we've got implementation, account management, we've got a support team based here, but also, of course, our marketing team, and then, country leadership's based here. And we continue to grow that team, in particular the sales team, outbound focus, and then, growing from there, keep expanding.
So when we're looking at Rippling's unique selling point, and you mentioned its employee life cycle, and it does everything. I mean, a lot of us have, we'll have an LMS, we'll have an ATS, we'll have a core system, we'll have a payroll. What does that mean? Like, what is entirety? What does entirety mean to you when it comes to employee life cycle?
Yeah, good question. And I think that's where, to start with, I always think it's easy to explain, and we keep building from up there. It's fundamentally an HR platform, right? In everything what we do, it's the employee data that sits in the middle of it all. So if you think about employee data, it is information like, your employee name, address, department, level, manager, access they need to systems. And from there, that same information is shared to your HR department, to your IT department, to your payroll department, to your finance department. Everyone needs the same set of data, and we've brought all of that together in one place. So if we break that down, it's a global HR platform, so we can manage your global workforce, But also, of course, as I was saying before, absolutely your Australian workforce. So if you think about it, and I'm sure, Eden, your background as well, you understand that, companies may have employers based here just in Australia, may have different entities, or may have different entities across different countries. A lot of systems don't allow you, I guess, to have all of those employees in the one place. You have different systems, different logins, or the same system, but a different login, let's say for your Australian employees, one for your Singapore employees, one for your New Zealand employees. So you never have that holistic view of everyone in one place. And funnily enough, last night when I was on a call, a client actually put it together really, really well. They've got a tech stack with a lot of different systems. And he's saying that, by using multiple platforms, it's just adding operational overhead to our employees. And I think that's exactly what's happening. And that's where Rippling has come in to propose a solution to give you that place of all employees, regardless of their contractor, full-time, part-time, they're an EOR, employer of records, if they're based in Australia or overseas, in one place. But then in addition to that, we manage your payroll as well.
Wow.
Most companies today will have an HR system and a payroll system.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you, from your experience, if you onboard someone, who do you share the information with? Is it a ticket that you log? Is it the onboarding tool that sends the details to payroll or to your IT team? What's that experience like?
Yeah, it's an onboarding tool. Wherever I've been, there has been I won't name them. There are a few of them. Sat between either, ATS, core HRIS and payroll, where in the middle, it would feed that data over. So it was like a plug-in. Yeah. And what Maaike, what I think one of the growing pains is for a lot of people that I speak to, that, the big trend was to have a best in breed, I love this ATS, love this onboarding system, love this core, love this LMS, love this CRM, all of these systems plugged in together. And, we were able to tackle the seamlessness that it would feel for a candidate. Employees, it was a little bit disjointed from day one, but we would try and tackle that to the best of our ability. But what we didn't factor in is from the other side. And you mentioned the client that you were talking to, from an ease of reporting, for an ease of understanding our employee base. That's where the challenges are. I can remember doing, board reports where I was having to pull from 5 or 6 different platforms and trying to pull all that data together into a presentable PowerPoint, right? And that nearly killed me. So, does Rippling tackle that? Is it that ease of being able to look at an employee's life cycle and report back on that when required?
Yeah, 100%. I think the reporting capabilities are actually super powerful within Rippling because you've got all the information in one place, right? You've got their recruitment data because it is really the full employee life cycle. So you've got that, you've got the onboarding data. Automatically, they can be provisioned through Rippling with, let's say, a Microsoft account or a Google account. You don't have your IT team asking to do it. It's all done as part of the onboarding process, including access to all the apps they may need that your company uses.
Oh, wow.
So you can report on all that data as well. But then even your payroll data or your performance management data, your LMS data, your survey data, any data that you have on your employees, even to the point if you integrate your Zendesk or your Jira tickets, all of that you can pull from too. How many tickets do your employees have open, or who's away on leave and should be taking over instead? It's super, super powerful and customizable when it comes to building out those reports.
That is really powerful, because what that does is it relieves the growing pains of your kind of IT ops team as well, right? Because you're absolutely right. It just goes into a ticket and induct this person, set up their laptop, set up their, provisions, their access, their apps, to your point. So this tackles that as well. So you're not just making the HR team happy and removing the burden from the HR team. You're doing it for the candidate, for the employee, for the new employee, plus your IT ops, plus payroll. So it's really, it feels like a no-brainer.
Yeah, and I think, just to add one more quick thing, I'm super passionate about this, but what we can do as well is, your employees, when they start on their first day, not just to those in the office, but those that work remotely as well, we can ship the device to them. So on the day one, they've got their device, it's all installed for them. They don't have to spend time with your IT team. Click on this screen, go there, click next. It's all done. It's all managed through Rippling, and it's just hit onboard, 90 seconds later, you're done.
At my current company, I've generated 7 figures in revenue in just 6 months doing all the sales by myself. Just me and Rumi, my secret weapon. Rumi isn't just another meeting app. It's like Zoom or Google Meet, but with AI tools that supercharge my results. Rumi records every meeting, gives me real-time insights during sales calls, and if I've met with a prospect in the past, Rumi's meeting memory answers any questions I have before the call. I don't waste time digging through notes, Rumi preps me instantly. Go to tryrumi.ai, that's tryrumi.ai for a 14-day free trial.
Well, I've been in roles where I've had to set up from scratch, and yet you're relatively new to Australia, and I can say, where were you 5 years ago? Because you would have been ideal for what I was trying to do, and you would have removed so much of my pressure and headaches at the time. But
yeah,
I think the audience want to see it, Maaike, and you're so good at giving demos. You've given me demos in the past many times. So let's hand over to you and let's check this out. I want to see how powerful this is. And if it's okay with you, I want to hand over to you and for you to showcase it to the audience.
Yeah, definitely very excited to show it. And let me take over.
Let's do it.
Great. Let's show you the mobile experience first. As an employee, lots of things and tasks you can perform directly on the app without having to log into the computer. I can submit my time off. I can schedule time, select, the leave policy applicable. They can all be set up by the admin people. If your company supports custom hours, we support that so that you can perhaps just take half a day or 2 hours. We also fully support it if you ask your employees to upload a medical certificate or other documents. All of that can directly be done in the app or on the desktop. As a manager in this instance, I'm able to see who's out of the office in my team today, what leave is coming up in my team, and leave balances as well. Scrolling down, we have our natively built time and attendance tool, so we support your employees to not only submit timesheets within the app, we also have a rostering tool available, so you can schedule your roster for your employees. They can access it, accept shifts, or submit their availability. We've got an LMS built in, so I can access courses directly from within the LMS, see what I'm enrolled in, what's upcoming, and those that I have completed. And when it comes to the finance component here, we'll touch on IT in a little bit. From an finance perspective, I can access my pay. I can directly go in, see all the pay slips of the pays, of course, that I've been paid up to date. I can update my bank account. We support wage splits, but also update or enter my T-event details as I go through the onboarding experience. We're fully integrated with the ATO, so STP2 compliant. So all of this is automatically taken care of when you onboard your new employees through Rippling. When it comes to my personal information, I can update this as an employee, so I can go in, change my address details. If I move interstate, the system will automatically update the policies, the public holiday policies, for example, I'm associated with. Right, so I've jumped over to the desktop experience where I'll talk you a bit more through how everything works in Rippling, what you can do, what you can set up. And I thought we'd quickly focus on the single sign-on experience first. Employees, including myself, when I start my day in the morning, I always open my Rippling page, and from there I access my Salesforce, my Slack, my Google, all the different apps I need each day to do my job. I access directly from within Rippling, which means I don't have to remember a single password or access another single sign-on provider. It's all done on this one page from within Rippling. Couple of tasks here that are triggered for Scott, our user, to tell him, there's a training he needs to be completing, triggered from our LMS. There's some a swag order for new starters that he needs to action. And all of these can be tailored to make sure you're warned about those things that you need to know about. It's very customizable through our Workflow Studio. Scrolling down further, we've got our analytics. Now, our analytics are quite exciting. You can actually pull a lot of information from our reporting tool that you will have access to across all the various modules that you will be using. So whether it is information, from your headcount planning, learning management, recruiting, review cycles, your payroll, you name it, all that information can be brought together. So we even make it easy if you think about that time of year at the start of the year where you need to do your WGEA reporting. We've got your templates built out. So it's a click of a button and we get all the information in a digestible format to you that you can then use to upload to the government portal. So it's going to be much faster to report on everything in one system. When it comes to creating those reports, once you've created a report that you always use or you want to have at your fingertips, you can add them to the dashboard, but you can always come in and dice the information that you see. I've opened the employee turnover report, but maybe I just want to look into, a particular department to see what's going on. By clicking here on finance, I change the view and it's going to be filtered down to just look at finance. And we can see here, for example, in September, there's been a bit of turnover, so you might want to drill down further and have that conversation. You can also directly from within here go into the reporting module, so you can see what's all the information that I've included to build this particular dashboard. And then, of course, you can go back into the reporting module, change it, and potentially add additional sources to it, so you get more data. Reports can be downloaded. They can also easily be shared with your colleagues, so you don't all have to create the same report. It's easy to share them with your colleagues depending on the access levels they have. Now, if we think about the life cycle of an employee, I thought let's start now with recruitment, which I'm sure, Eden, you can understand I'm very passionate to talk about. So I'll try to keep it short to talk about a recruiting module. And I'm sure many of the people listening to us today will be coming from a recruitment background. So I'm actually quite impressed with Rippling's recruiting module and what they've built being an all-in-one solution. They've actually thought about a lot of the things you'd be looking for as a recruiter. Very high level, of course. What I'm looking here is all the requisitions that are open, the new applications, jobs that need to be scheduled interviews, and so on. So it's easy for me to see it. With that admin access, I can see everything. Of course, as a hiring manager, you would just have to view for the positions that you're in charge of. More data, won't go into detail, but now again, we've got you covered when it comes to all your insights. The My Interviews page is good because it allows your managers to see, of course, what interviews they have coming up or interviews that they may have completed already and they're yet to provide feedback on. Now, when it comes to interviews and scheduling interviews, I know it can be very time consuming to schedule those. Playing phone tag with your candidates, and in particular, if you look at it from a global perspective, if you're trying, based in Australia, maybe try to book an interview with someone in New Zealand or in India, or maybe even in the UK, the time difference can be a pain. So we've actually built our own interview scheduling tools. I'm sure you're familiar with Calendly. So we don't need you to have a subscription with Calendly. We've built our own version or similar solution as Calendly. So we allow candidates to self-schedule, to select the times that suit them, and of course your interviewing panel, and schedule it automatically afterwards. An email will be sent out. It populates, of course, the agenda invitation or calendar invitation in the calendars, but it also, for the managers that meet with the candidates, it will include a link to their CV, link to their LinkedIn profile if they've provided it, and a link to their profile within Rippling. So it's easy for them to access that as they go into that calendar invite. Pre-interview, the managers will get a reminder, and post-interview, they will also get a reminder that they're yet to provide feedback and that they can finish that information directly within the platform. Now, if we very quickly look at a job requisition, the way the job setup is built, it's pretty standard. Of course, you enter your job title, department, level, salary details, and so on. So I won't be spending too much time in there. When it comes to candidates attracting talent, we've got you covered. We advertise, or you can advertise to many job boards, 25,000 job boards globally. So if you're looking to hire outside Australia, I'm pretty confident the country that you will be hiring in, you can post to the main job boards in those countries, And when it comes to Australia and New Zealand, of course, you can advertise directly to Seek as well, and your applicants will come back into the platform. When we are reviewing our candidates, we can start the application review process, and it makes it easy to look at their CV. If they've answered any application questions, those answers would be visible directly from within here as well. We've got screening questions, knockout questions. So if you want to disqualify candidates based on certain skills, you can easily do so by just setting those up. So for example, here, if Peter, the candidate, would have said that he doesn't have a driver's license, automatically he would have been disqualified for this position. We can add comments. So this would be where you have a great conversation with your hiring manager. You can search the details. It then, this is a great candidate, for example, sends them a message to let them know that you've not only sent this particular comment to them, they can read it in the email. It also has a link to take them directly back to here. Or if they're on the go, perhaps they just read it on their mobile phone. They don't have time to look at it within the platform. They can just respond to the email and the response still goes back in here. So it's a great way to interact with your hiring manager, regardless or if you're next to each other, same office, or completely remote, not close to each other. We can move candidates forward very easily. You can send them an email as well, built-in message templates. These are all completely tailorable, can have multiple templates at the same stage. So delivering that consistent and positive candidate experience has all been thought through. When it comes to some of the other key call-outs within the ATS, you can search candidates. We've got your Boolean search included in here. We've got, your keyword search as well. It searches CV. We parse the CVs. All the information is there. You can create text. These are just an example, but know that you can have multiple texts associated with a candidate. And we also have surveys. So if we think again about that candidate experience, if post-interview you want to automatically send out a survey to the candidate to make sure that they had the experience that you hoped they would have, you can automatically set that up at each stage of the recruitment process. Now, quickly jumping back into the account executive position, I already mentioned we've got that self-scheduling availability similar to Calendly, but in addition to that, we can use smart scheduling. So the system will suggest times to you based on the users that you select that need to interview the candidates, and know that we integrate with both your Google calendars, or for those on the Microsoft calendars, we integrate with those too. Once we've collated all the feedback from your candidates, the panel has completed that, sent everything through. All of that will be available within the platform, as you can see here. And then we've got AI built in that will actually summarize the feedback that each of the persons that have met with your candidates have provided. So as a potential approver, I wouldn't have to read through the entire feedback forms that have been completed. I could just focus on the feedback summary. From here, Jennifer is a great candidate. We're going to hire the candidate. Process built in at this stage, and that's where we're going to go next. I'm going to show you how you build out your approvals, what information you have before we jump into an employee profile, post-onboarding, what the profile looks like. So let's jump over to approvals. In the approval app, you can build out a lot of different policies across the different, modules you will be using. In this case, we're really going to focus on hiring, but it can also be when you transition someone, when you terminate people, when you add new headcount, your leave policies, your payroll policies, your rostering policies. All of those can be managed directly from within the approval app. Going back to our HR management, we're hiring Jennifer, as we just saw. She's a successful candidate. It will call out a couple of things. So why we're hiring her there, additional information about, whether the job, the hiring details match what was in our headcount plan, and also how it fits within our approved comp band. In this case, you can see it's exceeded the approved band. So therefore, it may have triggered different approval flows. But also the AI summary from the interview feedback, it's here again too. So when your approver goes in, it's easy for them to review it, quickly clicking through, and then we can see here, if I were to approve Jennifer's request to be hired into the business, I can see the offer letter that's going out. It's a fully e-signature digital experience, automatically stored on her profile. We can see the headcount plan. And we can also see that information about, the remuneration that, she's being paid outside the approved compensation bands, the role details, employment details, and so on, the documents that she needs to sign. But what we additionally have in here as well, not only, or what you're probably used to today, is that you send an email or your onboarding tool sends a notification to your IT team that Jennifer, your new employee, will need access to all these different apps. We take that step away. We automatically can provision them with these apps so that your IT team doesn't need to perform that task. It removes another manual task from within the onboarding process. And similar with the email addresses, we can provision their email accounts, both in Google, but also in Microsoft. Right, lots of information about recruitment, the mobile experience. Now let's look at someone's employment profile or employee profile once they're on board, the information that's available. Know that it is customizable. In this case, my demo account's got all the different modules that we have within the different business suites activated. But of course, if you wouldn't be using, for example, our applicant tracking system, our LMS, or our review cycles, this information would not be visible to you. Information we have here is the role information, salary information, days of work, and so on. We've got personal information, similar as on the mobile app, where the employee can update it. They can update their super details. But we also have, as I said, review cycles. For me as an employee, it makes it easy that when I'm writing today's review, I can look at it here, which is always look back to it before I maybe have a catch up again with my manager. I don't have to trouble my manager asking for previous review cycle results. Again, I can access the LMS similar as the mobile phone directly from within here, but I can also look at my pay, my salary details, and update anything if required. Next, let's quickly look at our review cycles before I finish off for today with showing you payroll. When it comes to review cycles, we've got the full 360 you can do, but you can also do, 180 self-review only, milestone review. So automatically, as an example, you send out a review when someone's been with the business for 5 months to make sure they're doing okay, they're going to pass probation. In this case, I'm just going to show you what it looks like writing a review. I'm writing a downward review on Jeremy, who may be reporting into me. And what we can see here is different type of questions you may be asking. Know that you've got full flexibility. There's many different options. We can have these, scaling kind of questions, open-ended questions. You can have, rating questions. In this case, it's 1 out of 3, can be 1 out of 5. On the right-hand side, we can see the review that, he may have been given himself when it was a mid-year review, but also goals. We've got a goals module. So you may have set as a manager different goals with your team members. In this case, Jeremy here, individual goal, but we also support your team goals and your company goals. So again, when you're writing your reviews, you may want to bring those goals in and relate to those or talk about those goals and how they are progressing or processing with those goals as part of your review comments. Going back to the actual review cycles, just to quickly talk you through our review cycle, that's 360 in this case. It includes calibration and compensation. From a high-level overview, you've got the insights, the analytics to see how it's progressing, how many people have been completed it. You can edit, extend the dates. You can look at the details. For those, of course, with admin access, no one else will have access to each other's performance review. Once you've got it or closed your review cycle itself, all the feedback has come in and you're at that stage that you may do calibration, you can fully do that within the platform. We support your 9-box grid, so it's easy for you to look at, the pre-calibration rating and the post-calibration rating, and all of that feeds through to the rest of the process within the review cycle. Now, if we look at that compensation, you can build up policies where it says that, if someone has a rating, 3 out of 5, for example, they will automatically receive a 5% increase or whatever it is. All of this can automatically be set up so that you can work with your managers, set up the budget by department. Often that's, of course, where finance comes in. So they may have access to that part of the process. But then when we click through, we can easily, in my worksheet, I can see here that, I'm actually spending over budget. I don't have any equity remaining, but I can see the two people that report into me, April and Alan. I can see their performance post-calibration. I can see they've received a performance bonus, but also a little prompt for me as a manager that, in this case, maybe my company has a rule that the salary always needs to be rounded to the nearest 100. So I would have to come in and update that information. Other fields here, are just examples. These can absolutely be tailored. I've got a market adjustment, the annualized base amount, and so on. These are flexible, just examples that I've set up. As I said before, all of this will automatically flow through the rest of the system. So you've got your deliverables, you've got your RAM packets, and now we're going to finalize the results. So this is where I always get really excited, because with the click of a button, we can actually update all the changes, make the promotions across the entire workforce. We still, of course, help you there that if you've got approvals, when we looked at the approval app before, you can set those up so that, no changes are made without it being approved. But know that if someone, for example, is promoted from a junior to a senior position, you want to send them out the letter, the system can automatically send out that letter to them. If they need to sign it, again, use our e-signature tool. It's built in and it will automatically be stored on the profile. So from an admin perspective of the manual handling, you won't use a single piece of paper. It's full automated within the platform. And when it comes to payroll, automatically we push all those changes to payroll. You don't have to tell the payroll team that April, who's performed so well, for example, is receiving that annual bonus of $10,000. The system will know it. It automatically pushes it out to payroll to you, including, of course, any salary increases that they may have received. Automatically, that's pushed through, no manual intervention required. Lastly, payroll. It's always so much to cover in such a short time. So I can understand if you have any questions, Eden, or someone listening, please reach out afterwards. But just very quickly, want to finish off showing payroll. We are a global payroll provider. So what I'm looking at here is, in this case, my demo account, I've got employees in Australia, someone in Singapore, and in New Zealand. And I'm going to process those people out of the same place. There's no multiple tabs, multiple logins. I can do it all within the same place. Again, very easy and convenient. Know that we can also support EOR or your employer of record. So if you've got any employees overseas, remote, where you may not have an entity, we can support you there as well. And you would have visibility of them in the same place. You don't have a separate database for those employees. I'm in the process here of going through an Australian payroll. What we can see here is any changes to the payroll compared to my previous run. You can look at it directly from within the payroll stage. You could even compare it to the run before last. But what I really want to highlight here is April. Remember, she just had a performance review. She had a great annual bonus of $10,000. As you can see, it's been automatically applied. You don't manually have to do anything. With the payroll changes, you can always drill down further if you weren't aware that she had received the bonus. So you're like, I'm not sure if someone should be receiving that much more in one pay run. Know that you can come in here and look at where this number is coming from. We give you the breakdown of that information by scrolling down. And what we see here is indeed the performance bonus, her earning type, $10,000. Very quickly as well, you can see here our timesheets. If you're using time and attendance, as I highlighted at the start on the mobile app, we've got a rostering module. Your rosters, timesheets, all of that can be done on the app or on the desktop. And from within payroll, when you are reviewing your pay run, you have access to those timesheets. If there's something there that is a bit funny or different, again, you can actually go in directly without having to log into another system or ask their manager what's going on. You've got the information directly here. When we hit the Approve Pay Run button, this is where I just want to highlight that, as I said before, we've got that integration with the ATO. We partner with SuperChoice for your super contribution. So automatically that's all taken care of. By approving the pay run here, it will spit out an ABA file that you can use to pay your employees, upload to your bank and then pay your employees. Know that we also integrate with many different accounting softwares. So when it comes to, the continuous journey of information, we've got you covered there as well. And as I said just before, any questions, please reach out to me. Love to have a further chat. I know it's a lot of information in a very short time. Thank you so much for looking at the demo.
Maaike, the queen of demos, as always. Thank you so much. It's a really fascinating tool and a really effective tool. And I'm sure the audience just went, wow, like everyone's got a growing pain at some stage in the employee life cycle, if not multiple. And you really are tackling that. I think the audience are probably a little bit afraid, as we all are, as we always are with new technology and implementing new tech. Tell me about the implementation. Is this easy to set up?
Great question. Is it easy to set up? I think we've made it really easy because it's very easy to do it all through the system. You don't need to create workbooks, upload documents, create funny code. It's all done through the system. And we've got your local support team based here in Australia, your implementation team to take you on that journey. Obviously, as with any system and any implementation, I'm sure there's going to be little hiccups or little bumps along the way. I won't lie, because that's, I think, just part of the transition process. However, what we've done with our implementation approach is, again, taking it to a local experience where we have made it fit for purpose to Australia. If you think about a typical HR implementation, so without the payroll component, probably about 6 to 8 weeks, depending a little bit on, I guess, how many resources are available. Yeah. And if we add the payroll component to it and the modern award setup, the interpretation, or any EBAs that need to be set up, because we've got those specialists in-house as well, it can take a bit longer, maybe about 3 months. But again, that's obviously all that we will work out through the discovery phase. What is needed? Are you doing the big bang, everything in one, or are you going to do a phased approach with HR and then you tackle payroll, or is it just HR and not payroll?
And I think what's critical there is, you talk about the local support. And a lot of us have looked at, I guess multi-national platforms, right, that are in multiple regions. And that in itself can solve a lot of our problems where we work in global roles. Yeah. But I think, being able to have someone to reach out to or have someone to support when those little hiccups happen, they will happen no matter what you implement, right? You're absolutely right. And I think that's key to it. You don't have to log a ticket and wait for the US or wait for India or, whatever region, your support team are in, that you've got it there locally. And for me, that relieves that burden, right? That's great. And that's why I've always been a big supporter of technologies that have local support, because we need it. Sometimes you just need that immediate help where you get stuck.
Yeah. And I think, that comes back again into what you said at the start, right? That investment of rippling into our region, into Australia, by growing headcount and looking at all functions that touch the client, and support and implementation is a big one of that. Amazing.
Well, speaking of clients, tell us some success stories. Well, who's implemented and what has it solved and how are they loving it? Tell us about some of those.
I've got a few prepared, and I've written down a couple of bullet points to make sure I've got the right use cases for each client. But, one of the ones I'm definitely excited about is our client SiteMate. What they've been able to do is, through their back office, they've actually managed to keep their team really, really lean by implementing rippling. They saved 2 full-time headcounts in admin kind of roles, even though they expanded globally. So what they've actually calculated, that they saved about 100 hours running payroll each year just by implementing one system around the world. Like, it's just around the globe. It's just, huge difference compared to running it out of different systems, many different places.
Amazing. Yeah. And I think it's a great example, right? Because saving headcount, and so because people will look at investment in tech as going, oh my gosh, we're investing this money. But if you're actually saving from OPEX and operational expenditure by having this solution that's going to solve those problems, then it's a no-brainer, right? There's your business case.
Yeah, and that's where we see, when we work with customers and we talk to them about HR, IT, how we can streamline processes there, remove all those manual steps that you just mentioned before as well from your own experience. It is a big one, and that's where, partnering together for working on a different solutions. There's a lot possible and a lot we can do. And I think also from a personal level, if I think about success in the last 12, 30 months that we've been here. Obviously, as I mentioned before, it's, exceptional growth, but then also I think the investment again in local local capabilities, right? Our award interpretation, the fact that we can download ABA files to run the payroll, because it's something unique to Australia. We love, running payroll by downloading a file and uploading it to the bank, even though we can fully manage it. It's just one of those things, again, that, Australians prefer, and having been part of that story to tell, what we need here to be successful, it's been a fantastic journey.
Well, I love it. You can tell I love it, audience. I wouldn't have had Maaike on if I didn't. And I love Maaike. But finally, and anyone watching and anyone listening, you'll see a link to Rippling embedded into the podcast description. But Maaike, what's some other ways that people can reach out to learn more, and how they can spark up that conversation with you?
Yeah, definitely. Link is a good way to start. And otherwise, look me up on LinkedIn. I'm there. I'm sure I'm somehow second or third degree connection. We will be connected, having worked in the HRTA space for the last 10, 15 years, and a big chunk of that within Australia. So look me up and let me know what you think of the podcast or podcast.
Maaike, thank you so much for joining me today. This has been an absolute delight. Again, queen of the demo. You always do an amazing demo. So thank you so much for sharing that with our audience. And Rippling, congratulations. It's just so awesome to see you doing such great work within the APAC region. And it's going to go from strength to strength. I'm excited. We're all excited. You're excited. Let's celebrate. Thanks again, Maaike.
Thank you, Eden. Thank you.
Take care.